No, you're not imagining things. This is your social studies teacher about to teach you a little bit about math. In order to do today's social studies lesson, you need to know how to round to the nearest hundredth. That's the second number after the decimal. Here are the two sentences I was taught when I was your age. First, five and above, give it a shove. The second, four or less, let it rest. So, I'm honestly assuming you guys mostly know how to do this, and this should be just a refresher, but let me go through a few examples and hopefully this will make sense. So here we have a number. We have already exactly two numbers after the decimal place. That means to round to the nearest hundredth, we don't have to do anything. This is just going to be 6.23. But our next example, we have 19.624. Well, the 2 here is in the hundredths place. That means we look at the number that's in the thousandth place, one to the right. Since this is a 4, it's 4 or less. That means we are going to let it rest. We are not going to change this digit at all. So when we round it to the nearest hundredth, this would be 19.62. Next example, 1.786. The 8 is in the hundredths place, so we look at the digit right before it, right over here, the 6. Now, 6 is 5 or above. That means we need to give this 8 a shove. We're going to increase it by 1. That would make it into 1.79. This one, 23.496. So this is in the hundredths place. This 6 is the one we look at. Now it's 5 or above, so we need to give this 9 a shove, but that would shove it up to 10. So we're basically going to need to carry it into the next column. This would become 23.50. It's kind of like this 49 right here made it all the way up to 50. One last example, 2.78199. So the 8 is in the hundredths place. This 1 is, well, it's 4 or less, so I'm just going to let it rest, and I'm going to get 2.78, and everything else falls away. You understood that? If you don't, you can contact me directly, drop in on my win time. I'll be happy to help you out, or you can talk with your math teacher. I'm sure this is something that they hope you know how to do as well. Now, give me a second, and I'll show you how to do the social studies part. Now that we've got the math out of the way, let's go ahead and, well, look at the social studies part of the lesson. So, first page is our normal put your name on stuff. Then we have this, our title page, Farming Through the Ages. Basically, what I want you to take away from this is I want you to get a sense how the Industrial Revolution changed the way that people view the world and how they live their lives. See, these days, I have two kids, and I imagine that by the time they grow up, the world is going to look different. There's going to be more advanced technology. They're going to have stuff that we don't have now. And believe it or not, that's a fairly new way to look at the world. For most of humans' history, that just really wasn't true. Just about everybody had to be a farmer or some other form of food producer. And they kind of understood that when their kids grew up, their life would probably look pretty much like your own life would. So let's see what we got here. Instructions. Welcome. For this assignment, we're going to follow a single farming family through the ages. By the end of the assignment, you will hopefully have started to understand how the Industrial Revolution led European society to change from one where almost everyone had to live on a farm and grow food to one where nearly everybody has a job that has nothing to do with food. We're going to accomplish this through the use of, wait for it, here come the groans, math. Now, I absolutely want you to use a calculator while you do this, but you are going to have to understand basic rounding in order to be successful on this assignment. Make sure to watch my video to make sure you understand how to round properly. Hopefully, you just did that. Just so you can't say you missed it, I'm going to do the next set of instructions as a separate title. Round every answer to the nearest hundredth. So all of our answers should have 2 digits after the decimal. So, how do you need to answer questions? Well, round to the nearest hundredth. So, moving on. Late 1500s, the end of the Renaissance. Congratulations! You are a farming family in Europe working as tenants to a local landowner. You plant mostly wheat and rotate your crops between 3 fields on a tri-yearly basis. This means we basically leave one of the fields empty. That's called letting it lie fallow. They didn't really understand why this worked, but if you left a field empty and just kind of let it sit there, you would grow more food with just 2 fields growing than if you used all 3 fields all the time. Today, we know this is because when you just let the field lie fallow, things would decompose in the field and restore minerals, nutrients, vitamins to the soil. They did not know why that worked, but they knew it did. You make enough food to feed about 1.25 families, but after paying a 10% tithe to the church, that's the law, and giving the local landowner his portion, you are left with, well, enough food for one family, yours. At least you're not starving or dying of the plague, right? Hopefully things will get better. So basically, every year we grow just enough food to survive. We're living, but not really making anything extra. So that said, you currently get to keep enough food for one family, right? How many families worth of food are you growing? Well, hopefully you can read and you know that the answer is 1. If we wanted to, we can actually put 1.00 just to keep the 2 decimal things going, but either way, just the number 1. Next. Okay, 1600s. Some guy named Columbus changes things. Now notice right here, it'll always have the current amount of food we're growing in terms of the number of families we could feed. Right now, we are at 1, and we're basically eating all of that. 1600s. Oh, snap! People are bringing all kinds of new crops from this place called America. The list above doesn't even include tomatoes. Seriously, Italian food had no tomatoes before Columbus. Anyway, your food output goes up by 45%. The New World, the Americas, had all sorts of crazy foods that people back in Europe had never seen before. There was corn, there were potatoes, there was vanilla and chocolate, there was squash, there were so many things that Europe absolutely did not have before the two worlds came into contact with each other. And some of these crops, notably corn and potatoes especially, are really, really good food crops. Now it says our food output has gone up by 45%. Here are the instructions. Take your current family's worth of food. Right now we're at 1 and multiply it times 1.45. We got that by putting a 1, then a decimal point, and then the percent. That is one way that you can mathematically increase something by 45% is just by multiplying it by 1.45 to get the new amount of food you're producing. Well, you know what? If you need to use your calculator, you can. I mean, I'll do it so I can say I did. But right here, 1 times 1.45. Well, I hope you guys know that 1 times anything is still that number. We get 1.45 right here. Okay, I'm going to do just one more of these. After this, you guys are on your own. 1700. Crop rotation rules. Current family's worth of food. You can always check for that number at the top of the page here. 1700. Okay, it seems like you didn't need to let 1/3 of your land lie empty each year. Apparently, if you just switch what you're planting in each spot each year using the right crops, things work out even better. Big thanks to Charles Townshend for increasing your yields by 31%. See, the thing is, some plants need certain vitamins from the soil, so they take those, but they also leave behind vitamins as waste products. If you just switch your plants around, you can get them going in a cycle where one plant sucks up one type of vitamins, but leaves behind vitamins that the next set of plants is going to need. So let's do some math here. Take your current family's worth of food, 1.45, and multiply it times 1.13. Again, we got 1.13 by doing one decimal point and then just using the percent here. Then round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay, let's do that. And that. Okay, so right now we're at 1.45. I'm going to multiply that by 1.31 equals, okay, I get 1.8995, but we're rounding everything to the nearest hundredth. That's this digit right here. So we look at the digit before. Well, this is definitely 5 and above, so we'll bump this 9 up, which will make it 10, which carries over to the next column. Essentially, this 1.89 or 1.89 is going to become 1.90. Okay. This assignment continues here, and now you're on your own. It'll always remind you of the current family's worth of food. It'll tell you the story of what's happening and why. You do some math, and as you can see, we are already at nearly two families worth of food that we get to keep. This is already a huge change. I mean, our family's going to have to eat one whole family's worth of food there, but that is a whole bunch of food left over that we can either have a little bit extra so we're not going hungry, but especially we can sell it. And with that money, we can buy stuff. This honestly, this sounds weird, but that was kind of new. Regular farmers didn't often have that much money. Most of what they had, their clothes, their tools, they made for themselves. But now, making nearly twice as much food as you needed, you could actually sell some and have money to buy more stuff. And as you'll see, that's going to be one of the things that powers the Industrial Revolution. All right. Hopefully that all made sense. I hope you can make your way through the assignment. If you need some help, let me know. Until then, please stay safe and stay healthy.